Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have the update for my Makeup Panners book club, which is a fun little book club where we talk about books and makeup. Essentially this is a project pan where I pick makeup products that correspond to a specific book that I'm reading. This is a project pan that I created because, I had several reasons. The first reason was that I wanted to read more this year. It is my makeup resolution to read more. I used to read a lot of books. Then I thought, it would be fun to work with this, and I became a teacher. And then that killed my joy of reading. If you work with it, it will kill the joy. Anyways, I'm no longer a teacher. I still work at the school, but I do other things, and I wanted to find my way back to, reading for me and not just reading because it's part of my job. So my New Year's resolutions was to read more, and I thought, what will make me read more? It's if I put this in a project pan, if I put this up online, because then it will be too embarrassing for me to read the same book for 5 months. I will out of sheer shame, I will read my books. And it has been working out super well. I think that I'm so proud of myself. I have read so many books this year. In comparison to last year or even years before, I have read so many books and I am very happy. I love to buy books, and then I have my shelves are just full of books that I want to read, but I never take the time to read them. I also had the idea that we need to be more visible. Readers out there need to show that we are reading, because reading in general is declining all over the globe, and people are reading less and they are becoming worse. If you don't read, you don't understand when you read something, which is a threat to our democracy. So we should be out there yelling at people to read more. That is also a reason why I started this project. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's get into the idea. So I pick a book, and then something from that book, I draw inspiration from the book and pick makeup items or beauty items that correspond to something in the book. Very simple. Pick how many products you want to. I have been between 1 to 3 items each book, and set your goals. Easy peasy. So last month I was reading this book. It is by Kotaro Isaka. It's called 3 Assassins. I chose this book to read because in October I did actually travel to Japan, and this is obviously a Japanese author. It's the same author who wrote Bullet Train, which is a phenomenal film. I haven't read the book, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed the movie. So this book was my book for October. I have since finished it. It's not super long, and it's about obviously 3 assassins. You follow the point of view of Suzuki, I think his name is. He's not one of the assassins. He is a mourning husband. His wife was killed and he's looking for revenge. He takes employment at this company that is the son of the owner of the company is actually the one who killed his wife, so he's looking for ways in to get close to the son so he can, get his revenge. He also, the assassins are the whale, the cicada, and the pusher. You don't read from the pusher's perspective. I don't think there was, maybe it was one chapter, but basically you don't read from his perspective. You read about him when other people are talking about him. Suzuki is actually getting close to this assassin, but there's never any point of view from him. The whale is an assassin who kills people. The pusher, he kills people by pushing them in front of trains, cars, and so on. The whale, he's an assassin who kills people simply by talking to them. They explained that he has this kind of aura that like sucks the life energy from people. They feel so devastated meeting him, and they just kill themselves. And then you have the cicada, who is, his name comes from, you know, the cicadas. If you've been to Japan, you know how loud they can be. And he talks a lot. That's why he got his name, and he is an assassin who kills with his knife. He has excellent knife skills. So I did finish this book. I thought it was okay. It wasn't mind-blowing. I felt like it ended quite abruptly, and kind of they tied it together quite quickly. I felt like it was you had followed these characters for a while, and then just something outside of the storyline happened, and it was like, oh, okay, well then, that's it. So it was a bit disappointing in the end, but yeah, it was fine. I did like the language. It was kind of very straightforward, not too, you have to read between the lines kind of thing. I also enjoy his way of writing, you know, everything. The people meet each other by coincidence. They kind of all fall into each other's worlds, so to speak. Kind of like Bullet Train in a sense that how is everyone connected? But it wasn't the best read at all. I wouldn't recommend you to run out and buy this now. But yeah, I did finish this book. So, the items that I've been working on in correspondence to this book are 2. I did choose first off, I chose my palette. This is by Unique Beauty. It's their Japan Volume 2 pressed pigment palette. Look at this, it's so cute. So I set the goal to use this palette, no pan left behind, meaning I have to use all of the shades. There are only 6, so not a very difficult goal. And I also wanted to hit 1 pan. So you can see what the palette looked like last update. I mean, I had used it, but it looks basically untouched. And this is where we are today. Now I need to be careful because the golden shade is very fragile. So I don't know if you will see much of a difference. I have used all of the shades in this palette, and I decided to focus on this shade Yukata here, and I have used it. It is what I am wearing on my eyes today, like on the inner corner here. But I did not bring this traveling, so obviously I could have had a lot more success, but I don't. So this is the shade. It is a very stunning, like pink to gold. It has a very prominent flip there. So Yukata is going to stay in the project, but I don't need to use any of the other shades. I mean, you can see a little bit of a disturbance there in the middle. I have no idea how deep these pans are, so we shall see how long it takes, if I will be able to hit pan before the end of the year or not. But we are keeping that one. I also brought in this highlighter by the Paso Roses. This is the Ghost Glow. Oh. I have a little doggo here. He's afraid to pass my lights. This is the Ghost Glow, and as I said, one of the characters in this novel, he sees ghosts, the ghosts of the people he killed. So I thought, you know, perfect to bring this highlighter in. It's a very blinding highlight. And I wanted to use this one 15 times. I didn't bring this one either traveling. So I have used this one 11 times since the last update, so I am very close, but I am not there quite yet. And this is what it's looking like today. So I mean, you can see that I have used it, but I mean, it's a big ass pan, so we're not gonna hit pan or anything by 15 uses. and this is what the highlighter looks like. As I said, it's very, very blinding. So I'm gonna keep it in for another 4 uses. Won't be an issue to hit that goal within the next until the next update. So other than that, I have 2 items that has been in for a while now, and one of those is a lip liner. This is by the brand Nuba. I don't even know if this is the brand anymore. It's like an ancient lip liner. It's just in a red color. And I had a unreasonably high goal with this. And I changed my mind last update because I said that I wanted to hit this mark. But I mean, that's not going to happen. This one has been in for ages, it feels like. I don't even know when I rolled it in. But I'm gonna show you what it looked like when I roll it in. I'm not gonna show you all of the updates because obviously like progress has been minimal, even though I used it very much, especially during summer. Now I said that I wanted to hit 15 uses and then roll it out. Unfortunately, I haven't done that because I did not bring this one with me when I traveled. So I have only used this one 5 additional times since last update, so I am going to keep it in. I'm going to keep it in probably until the end of the year, and then we can say goodbye. But I have been working on this one since I read the novel The Priory of the Orange Tree, and I rolled this red liner in because in that novel there is this sickness, a draconic sickness that you get from draconic creatures called the red sickness. So, you know, a red lip liner in accordance to that, like because of the red sickness. I did bring in a red liquid lipstick also. This one has been in since I read the book The Moon Hatched, which was the book I read before 3 Assassins, so not that long. This is by the Korean brand Giverny, and it is a red liquid lip. I wanted to use this one 8 times to see if I still wanted to keep this in my collection. Last update I had used this one 5 times, so this is the color, and this is the packaging. I have not used it the 3 additional times, unfortunately. I am absolutely going to do that next month. This is a really, really great liquid lipstick. It wears so nicely and it feels like it doesn't dry out my lips. It doesn't look cracked or anything. It is absolutely lovely. I just didn't wear a red lipstick when I traveled. So this one I brought in with the, like, to the book When the Moon Hatched, because I think it was that she, the protagonist in the beginning, she is an assassin in that in the book, and she was like, what do we say, hunting her prey, or like going to kill a man, and she lured him in wearing this red dress. I also wonder if her hair was red. I can't really recall. Anyways, the red dress and this red lipstick. So, those are the items that I have been working on. Let me tell you about the books that I read before talking about the book I am currently reading, because I do have a couple of books that I have finished. I don't have 3 of the books I don't have with me. One book I read for my job. I work part-time in a library at a school, and I read the book Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda, because I read the books that the library has and make like study materials to them. So that is just a young adult novel about a guy who is he's homosexual, and he is blackmailed from from one of his peers who finds out that he's homosexual, and he like threatens to release this information to the school or to post it on Tumblr. and the blackmail is that he says to this guy Simon that you need to hook me up with your friend who is really pretty. Simon also has he has this online relationship with a guy called Blue. We don't know who Blue is. Simon also uses a nickname when he is in contact with Blue. So you have this like messages between those two and what's happening in Simon's life. It was okay. It felt a bit dated already. I don't know. I know there is a movie. I haven't seen the movie, but yeah, it was a fine young adult novel. I don't know how. Like, I don't know if it still would work super well with kids, because I mean it felt a bit dated already. So I did finish that one. Also for my job, we have a book club at my job, and we read the book. What was it in English? In Swedish it was like Göra sig kvitt av Eddie Bellew. It's a book by a French author. He is like a up and coming French author. He has written a lot about his childhood and being homosexual in France during the 90s, and how he has struggled with his, like, he is obviously from a working class family, and like the differences in France between the working class societies and the like middle class, upper class societies in everything, like in culture, in the way you talk, in what you have. He was their family was very, very, very poor. So that book was basically about his struggles with all the bullying he was subjected to when he grew up, but also like his resentment to his name, to his family, and so on. And this book is something that has been proposed. In Sweden we are talking about, should we have a canon? Should we have specific books that all the children have to read? Because now it's up to each teacher to kind of decide what you want to read, and this was one of the books that was discussed, that maybe this should be part of that canon. And it was a good book. It felt very pretentious in its language, and I feel like it was pretty depressing. And I mean, I have this project because I want to emphasize reading and, the joy of reading. And I feel like sometimes in schools we work so much with deep, difficult subjects, and it's just a bit too depressing. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to work with this, like use this book with if I still was teaching, but it is what it is. Then when I went traveling, if you saw my last update, you know that I picked up the books that I wanted to read for October, and I picked a fat book. I don't have it with me because my boyfriend, he brought it with him when he went away for work, but it's the book Invisible Friend by Stephen Chbosky. I've had this in my shelves for ages, but like the sheer volume has been like, maybe not now. But since I was going to travel to Japan, I knew I would have a lot of time at the airport, and in the flight, or in the plane, flight. What am I saying? I knew that I was going to have a lot of time to read. So, perfect opportunity. I brought that book and I devoured it on the flight there, and also we traveled by train, so I read on the trains and so on in Japan, but I finished that book during my travels. It was really good. I felt like this book is over, I think, 800 pages, and like the first 400 pages was so good. it was like a mix of Stranger Things with a book that I read earlier this year in this project called Vänligheten or Kindness by a Swedish author, Jonna Vida Lindqvist. It was like a mash of those two where you follow a young boy and kind of how he gets in contact with this other world where there are monsters and like scary creatures, and like how that the world is seeping into the real world, and then he has to like fight to prevent the world, that like the other world, from getting into the real world. And also about because in Stranger Things it's just monsters, but in the book Kindness or Vänligheten, it's about how people in the real world are affected by this like aura or spirit seeping into the world, where they get angry and violent, and it's a bit of a play on, you know, how people today are very angry about things, and it's so black and white. You don't have any. It's like so polarized these days, and that people get so angry and that they have for such small things, and they only see themselves as center of the universe, and everything that is going against them needs to be like shut down, killed, whatever. It's it's about how the world has been more and more polarized, how everything is black and white, and I really enjoyed it. But as I said, it's too long. He drags it out too much. I feel like at the end it was just, he could have shortened it down. There is a twist coming towards the end, but I don't know. It feels like it's a lot of running back and forth, a lot of different characters that you follow, maybe that you shouldn't, that wasn't necessary to follow, but overall it was very enjoyable. I devoured it. So obviously I liked it, but I felt like it was a bit too dragged out at the end. But very proud to have finished that book. Then I also brought this book with me, and I finished this one on the flight home. This is The Haunting of Hill House. Which way do we hold this book? It's by Shirley Jackson, and it's like a modern classic. I have seen the show that was created, but I had not read the book, and I haven't seen, like, I think there are movies also, but the show was really, really good. It was by the same director who did The Fall of the House of Usher, which was spectacular. So I was really intrigued to watch The Haunting of Hill House. He uses a lot of the same actors, like in his shows, like Ryan Murphy, and who else is doing this? Martin Scorsese. I mean, a lot of directors use their favorite actors in all of their works. So this one was good. I could clearly see the inspiration, because The Haunting of Hill House, the TV show, is like in modern day society. So it's not taking place like when this book is taking place, but it's supposed to be a modernized version of it. So I could clearly see the influence. I feel like I really enjoy Shirley Jackson's writing style. It's engaging, and she has this way of writing horror or what do we say, like mystery, intriguing plots, and she has a good of like some nice cliffhangers at the end of the chapters, and I feel like her characters are engaging. What I felt like though with this book is that it kind of was a quick turn from being, oh, this house is haunted, and then like the flip to being, oh, I am now crazy. It felt a bit quick. I think that she could have developed the character a bit more to like get into that, which I think they do in the TV show. You kind of see the timeline a bit different, but it's interesting because the more I read from Shirley Jackson, she's really taking this idea of social anxiety as horror element. Like feeling that you're out of place, that you're not wanted, that everyone is kind of, no one wants to be with you. That kind of anxiety that maybe all people feel. At least I feel it from time to time. Like, my friends hate me. No one wants to be with me, and that's, you know, it's just in my head. She's handling social anxiety as a horror element very, very well. So, if you want to read a classic that is a bit easier, like in the language, style and everything, I could highly recommend reading Shirley Jackson, reading this book. And yeah, that's that. So, now to the book that I'm currently reading. I have started another Thick Boy. And this is like, I wanted to read this during spooky season. Spooky season is now basically over. Now it's time for Mariah Carey season. But yeah, I wanted to read this year. I've been itching to get into this one. And I have, yeah, started. So, this is the book House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. And this is a very interesting novel. It's a horror mystery type book. And the perspective is very interesting because you read it as a person commenting on a movie, or like a movie they have seen, but then that person commenting on that movie is also commented from a different person that you read from in the beginning. So they're like, the perspective is really, really strange. And this is not a book that is like linear, because it's about like a house. I haven't read that much yet, but what I've heard is that it's about a house where people discover like it's ever changing, and how like the terror of the people who live there in this ever changing house. They open, like, there are so many places, and like how they go crazy. And as I said, it's not a linear book, and you have these very strange passages where you kind of, I think it's supposed to like showcase how the people are actually going insane. There are some pictures in this one as well, I think. Yeah. And you have a lot of footnotes in it. And the footnote can actually, like, here you see, from this line here, you have a footnote. And if this footnote continues here, and then the original, like the other story, is here. And the footnote can, like, say, for more about this, read chapter 9 or whatever. So basically you could read this as I'm doing now, like from page 1 until the end. But you could also, I know people have reread this and like jumped back and forth, like with the footnotes, what they suggest that you should read. So I think that this is a book that could absolutely be reread and give you a different experience, give you a lot of other, like, I don't know. It's just, I haven't read anything like it. It is very intriguing, but it's also very, very draining. So I try to read when I go to bed, and like after reading just a couple of pages, I feel so tired. Because it's like the point of view and following everything it takes a bit, it takes some energy to do that. But I am not that far along, but I have picked out 2 items that corresponds to this book, and they are a bit, we grab for, because I wanted to, I don't want to bring in more eyeshadow because I have some eyeshadows that I want to work on and try and hit pan, so I had to be a bit creative. The first thing that I have picked for this book is this eyeliner. This is by LA Girl. It's the Shockwave Neon Eyeliner in the shade Fresh. And it's like this turquoise bluish green. And I picked this simply because this book, the character that you read from the beginning, who is also writing some footnotes, he lives in LA. And this is LA Girl. So, very easy, understandable, maybe doesn't have too much to do with the content of this book, but yeah, that is what I chose. And then the other one, okay, bear with me, see the vision here. I'm choosing a perfume. This is the perfume Vidder, which, how would you translate Vidder? Like views? In Swedish you have, Vidder means like the open space in nature, basically. And this is a fragrance by Norra Norrland, which is, they are based 1 hour from where I live, and I am excited to support local perfume brands. This one is branded as a unit, or like a male perfume, but I feel like it's just, I don't bother about male, female perfumes. I think all perfumes can be unisex perfumes. It smells lovely. I will put the notes here. So the reason why I chose this perfume was because one of the notes in this is fallen leaves. And this book is called House of Leaves. So yeah, maybe it's a stretch, but I feel like, yeah, it works. It works for me. I haven't read that far, so I need to be creative. And yeah, so we are choosing this perfume because of the fallen leaves. And I also remember that I didn't say how much I was going to use this pencil. I'm going to use this perfume 20 times. I work, as I said, in school and in the municipality. And I can't wear that much perfume to work because of allergies. So 20 uses will be good enough. I just want to use this a bit more because I haven't really used it that much, but I really love the scent of this one. This eyeliner, I think I'm gonna put a 15 use goal on this one. Yeah. There's not that much time left of the year, so 15 uses will be good enough. So those are the items. I am going to then have 6 items. So these 2 new ones. We still have the highlighter. We have this eyeshadow, and we have the lip liner and the red lipstick. So I think I'm gonna be kind to myself. In the past, I have put up picking my TBR, but I don't want to stress myself out because this is quite thick. It is over 600 pages. Granted, many of the pages are empty, but it's also big, some of the pages are really dense. So I think I'm gonna keep it at this book and see if I'm able to finish this one within the month. Hopefully I can, but I'm not gonna stress myself out if I can't. So, that is gonna be it for this update. Please let me know what you think. Have you read any of the books that I've read? What are you reading currently? Do you have any recommendations for me? I am always adding to my wish lists. And yeah, I am finishing books and then I'm bringing in more books. I love to buy books. But yeah, I hope that you are all well. Please say hi in the comments. I always love to hear from you and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!